Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to talk about the most interesting topic that is going on nowadays, right? Or as a developer, even everybody is looking towards it or trying to learn this, which is AI, right? So, and not only AI, I think AI was there, but nowadays the way it evolved and there are multiple different vendors. They just readily they made it available for the public to use this AI, right? ChatGPT, everybody knows. Then GitHub Copilot, then we have something from Meta, we have from Google Gemini, then Amazon, all of that, right? So as a developer, what is the need for us, right? In any organization, if all the organizations are looking for developers who are having knowledge on AI, right? Or if they are not having, then they are basically asking them to get trained on AI, right? And even organization they started integrating with AI to improve the customer experience or to improve their business. So what is our role here is it like we should go and build a model altogether, a new language model? No, right? Because that is being done by companies like, let's say, ChatGPT, OpenAI did it, and then Meta, Google, all of them are they are doing that, right? So, but how do we use that AI? That is our part, right? How do we use those model and then implement it in our application to improve the customer experience or to modernize our application, all of that, right? So earlier, using AI was not feasible because even if you go and build your own machine learning, basically any model, you need that compute and all of that, right? Which is huge. So every organization cannot afford that. But now that we are getting this model as a service, like Azure AI Studio is providing, even OpenAI is providing, everybody. So they are providing it is as a model as a service, right? Where we can deploy a model, train a model based on our need, and then use it in our application, right? And so far we have seen when it comes to AI machine learning, people will talk about Python and all of that, right? But in this video, I'm going to talk about Spring AI, which is another project from Spring community where we can integrate or basically communicate with any of the AI model that those are available in the market, right? So this is nothing but like another Spring project where you can integrate your application with OpenAI or Azure AI or any of the other vendors, right? So it is now for even for Java and Spring developer to integrate and work with AI. Not it is not only like only Python and all you have to use to basically work on AI, right? So without wasting time, let's get into the hands-on part. This video I'm going to just cover what is AI and when it comes to organization perspective, right? It is not like just using one chat GPT or only language model. So everybody is using that. But how can we use AI for our organization need or specific need? So I'm going to cover the retrieval augmented generation RAG, right? So that part as well, which is the most important thing. And that is where you can build the accuracy of the output or the outcome that you are getting from a model, or you can integrate your knowledge base with the language model, right? Okay, so I will discuss on that what is RAG and all. I'll come to that, but this is where the Spring AI documentations you can. I'll just put this link. You can go ahead and even if you go and Google it, right, you'll get to know Spring AI documentation. So you just go ahead and see the way we have documentation for rest of the other projects from Spring. It's very similar. Here you they have explained what is basically vector store and what is the model. Basically, what are the different techniques that you can connect and what are the different model. Those are available right now in Spring AI, right, library where you can connect. So you can see here Amazon Bedrock, then Azure OpenAI, Google Vertex AI, OpenAI, Olama, NVIDIA, lots of things, right? So let me go to the OpenAI, which is the popular one, right? Even others are also being used nowadays, but as you know, OpenAI everybody knows, and I'm just taking this example, and I have just registered. I have got the API key from OpenAI. I just paid some amount, and basically for this demo, right, I'll just explain using OpenAI how we can connect. Okay, so these are all the documentations. You can go ahead and read it. Let's get into the code quickly, and just I'll just explain what all we can do. Okay, so the way you go to ChatGPT, simply put a prompt and get the response, right? The same thing. First of all, let's see. So it is very simple thing. You nothing. So basically, you just need to put your Spring or basically OpenAI API key, right? So you just put your API key here. How you can get that and all, you can easily get it through ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT as well, or I'll have a separate videos, dedicated videos on that, how you can set up the limits and all of that, so that you should not get overcharged, right? And make sure you specify this model, because if you're doing it for your learning purpose, specify GPT 3.5. Okay, don't go for 4, otherwise the charges that will be there, right, which is huge as compared to GPT 3.5. Okay, so that is the reason I have specified this one. So these are the two important things. Once you have this, then basically next thing is you go ahead, and as you know, Spring Boot will do the auto configuration, which means it will build those ChatGPT, basically what are the required dependencies, right, and all of that automatically. So it's just that we'll use the chat client, okay, and then we'll have vector store and embedding models, all of that. So I'll be using that in my basically when I'll explain about RAG. So that's the reason. Otherwise, simple chat client options are basically you can go ahead with that. And there is a very simple controller where you just give a prompt and get the response, right? So first step is that one. Nothing complicated here or not too much of code. Okay, it's very simple. Let's run this and let's try out. It will just take a while. I think couple of seconds. It will just try to connect to your OpenAI, right, using those API key and all. Okay, here you go. I think it started. So let me go back, and yeah, I just put some. So this is something message, and I just want to ask anything, right? Can you please share some interesting facts about Java? Okay, so let's try that. Okay. So it says basically, I'm sorry, but I cannot provide information about Java without additional context or specific question. That is obvious, right? So your prompt you should give in such a way that you should be specific what you are asking and all of that. You will say interesting facts about Java, right? If you have any specific questions about Java programming language or its history, feel free to ask, right? Can you please give me the history about Java? Let's try that. Okay, again, it depends upon. So it is not like the ChatGPT model, because we are connecting to OpenAI, right? Again here, and we are not using. We are using the old model now. That's what's the difference, right? But yeah, we can. What we can do basically. So this is nothing but with this, right? You got to know this is the model. So when I say hi, how are you, then it just says hello. I am just a computer program, so I don't have feelings, but I am here to assist you. How can I help you today, right? So you see, this is nothing but we are able to connect to the Open AI model, the large language model, where we can basically talk to it and it can assist us, right? But the accuracy as of now, because we are just simply using, we started using and without any context and all of that, right? And we are connecting from our code. There are lots of tuning that we can do. So this is how, and let's say let's ask, How can I help you today? Okay, so what is your name and what is your knowledge base? Let's ask this. Okay, so it says I am a language model AI created by OpenAI. I do not have a personal name, but I have been trained on a vast amount of text data to generate responses to user input. My knowledge base includes a wide range of topics, but I am not able to access personal information or provide real-time information, right? So this confirms that we are connected to OpenAI language model, and this language model, so whenever you are trying to interact, it is able to give you response as a human being, right? The way you interact with someone else. So now the next part for us is how do we, so as you might have seen, the response that whenever we are, basically when we put that question, right, it said like, without any context, how can I give you answer, right? Or I'm sorry, I could not, for one or two questions, it gave me like that. And why is that? Right? Because there should be a context. And now this knowledge, this AI model will have, it is trained on vast text data and all of that, but it will not know what is your need, what is your organization need. Let's say talk about any healthcare application, right? If think about how can I just, if you give a doctor this AI model and integrated with that one, and for one particular customer, if doctor will search for it, can you tell me what was the average history or blood pressure or anything, any health uh, related questions, right? If the AI model will have the data, then only it will be able to answer, right? And how do we feed that data? And these healthcare details, these are not publicly accessible, right? This has to be highly confidential data within that particular organization. So, can we integrate this AI model with our knowledge base so that whatever we ask, right, on that particular knowledge base, it should be able to give us the outcome with the proper accuracy. And main thing is implementing LLM on your knowledge base, right? So just imagine in any of the healthcare, if we implement AI and with the historical data for 20 years for a particular patient, if doctor will query based on that, right, how wonderful that response will be, right? And eventually that is going to happen in near future. Not only healthcare, I just gave one example of healthcare. There might be in finance, there might be things in airline industries, everywhere, right? And people already started doing that. And that is what is called as retrieval augmented generation, right? So, excuse me. So what is retrieval augmented generation, RAG? This is one of the blocks in NVIDIA, and as you know, right, NVIDIA, it, it is doing very good now, very good actually. So even NVIDIA is building different machines and all that, through which basically meant for AI, right? So this is one of the blog. If you go ahead, right, you will get to know the more detail about RAG. But it is a technique, right, for enhancing the accuracy of and reliability of generative AI model with facts fetched from external sources, which means whatever the knowledge base, whatever the trained model, or whatever the data it was trained, not only that, along with that, right, we can feed some external data or our knowledge base to that particular LLM, and then it will give us outcome based on our organization need. That is nothing but RAG, right? And this is what is the need for us in any organization if we want to achieve any kind of I would say anywhere we want to implement AI, and we want to implement AI in our business and get a better outcome, right, or provide better experience. I was giving example for doctors, right, in healthcare. So similarly, you can think about wherever you are working. You might be working in gaming industry, you might be working in retail industry, you might be working in finance, whatever, right? So how people are using RAG? With retrieval augmented generation, user can essentially have conversations with data repositories, opening up new kinds of experiences, right? Okay, so this you can go and read through it, but let me simply go through here and just put a question here, right? I'll just put a comment like how to implement K2T events. What is the response? I am sorry, but it seems like the context information provided doesn't include any detail on how to implement K2T events, which means the model doesn't know, right? What is K2T? This is something specific to my organization, right? And this is something specific to my need and that we use. It is our proprietary thing. It is not publicly accessible data which this model was trained on or model was having. Even it cannot get it from Google also, right? So that is where it will not be able to give us anything, any answer to us, right? So let me go ahead and show you how we can achieve this. Okay, so there is something rack configuration. Okay, I just commented that part because I just wanted to show you what is the problem, right? And then how we can basically integrate this. So first thing is, if you see here, this is nothing but a vector store. So let me don't get into what is vector, right? And then vector is simple thing, you know, it's a multidimensional array. And then why do we need, so basically for similarity search and all of that, right? You use vector and any AI model where you to conversation or to basically to get the detail, right? It uses vector DB, but I'll have a separate videos on that. Let's don't get into that. But you think like whatever the knowledge base we talked about, right? The patient details or the data or the knowledge base from your organization will be stored in a vector DB. Okay, that is nothing but vector store. And then you see here, right? We are reading a file. If you see get vector store, and this is nothing but coding guidelines. So what I have done, I have just uh, added 10 different coding guidelines that we follow. And this is something, if you see, right? What should developer do in order to implement K2T events? This is something very specific need in my organization. No one else knows about this K2T event, right? And then I have given, this is what you need to use a Kafka publisher to publish this event, and this is how the code should look like, and this is the example. So this is my knowledge base. This is in text format. It could be in any format, PDF, it could be in database, or it could be anything, right? Then what I am doing is I am reading that file and creating the vector store here. If you see, simple vector store dot save vector store file, and that is nothing but this vector store dot JSON here. If you see, so let me just open that JSON as well. So don't get confused. These are the embeddings and all of that. What is the concepts of embeddings and all of that I'll cover in a separate video. But for now, you think about this is something where this is how in vector DB things get stored. Okay. And then when we query, right, based on that, it should be able to give us an answer. That's pretty simple. You create the simple vector store embeddings, and for embeddings also it will be using the embedding model, right? If you're connecting to OpenAI, it uses one embedding model by default, text embedding model. But if you're connecting to Azure AI, make sure that both the models should be available, language model as well as that embedding model. Okay. So this is the configuration, right? And then now let me go ahead and I'll just comment the other configuration. Okay. I have my rack configuration, simple vector storage over here, which we are exposing as a bean. And in my FAQ controller, I am just using the vector store, right? Which should be ideally what I have exposed there. So let's go ahead and rerun the application and see whether it will be able to provide the details or the response based on our knowledge base or not. Okay. Okay, what happened? Did I stop? Or did I? Okay, let's run it again. So it's because I have already triggered this earlier, right? So I have the vector stored.json. If it is not there, right, it will create the embeddings and basically it will create the vector stored.json. But we should not be doing this again and again, right? If my knowledge base is not changing or not getting modified, why do I need to regenerate this? Okay. So let me go back and the same question, how to implement K2T events. Let me ask this question. See what is the response we got now. Earlier it was like it didn't know what is K2T event, but now if you see clearly it says to implement K2T events, developers should use the provided Kafka K2T publisher class to publish event to the respective Kafka topic. Right? So if you see here the response that we received, right? Let me just put it create a new file, right? Response.txt. Okay. So that I can show you here maybe. Okay, if you see to implement K2T events, developers should use the provided Kafka K2T publisher class to publish events to the repository, basically respective Kafka topic. This class file utilizes the Kafka template from the Spring Kafka library. And where did I specify that, right? If you see here, this is one of the question in my knowledge base, which we created the embeddings and put it in the vector DB. And from there, it understands basically whatever the questions I ask about K2T. If you see, same thing. What is the class name? K2T Kafka publisher. It uses Kafka template and all of that. And exactly that is how it gave the response. Right? So this is how we can achieve, I just don't want to save this response. I just, let me delete it because, okay. So this is how, right? If you see now, I have other things as well, like what is the recommended practices regarding exception handling in Java? Let's put this question. See? To use specific exception handling by catching specific exception, that is IO exception, all of that. Right? If you see, IO exception, null pointer exception, this is what the example we have given in our knowledge base. So what I am trying to explain here is, even though it knows few things, it might know about exception handling and other things, but it will give priority to your knowledge base because you are trying to say that this is what my knowledge base and this is what my context, right? So even though that language model might have few generic things, generic knowledge, but it will take priority whatever you have given. And if you see, right, exactly why it gave IO exception and null pointer exception, why it did not talk about some other exceptions. We have runtime exception, we have n number of exception, right? But it gave answers or prompt based on this thing, which means, so this is one of the simple example I gave, right? But think about giving entire knowledge base in your business, line of business, and then give this LLM, right? And it will give you answer even better than a human being, even if better than a, think about any customer service nowadays, right? In banking or even in any industry. So when we ask anything, even that human being will have to go and check what is the status for all of that, and it takes time. But if you do this through RAG, right, what will happen? Immediately you will be able to basically that model will be able to give you the accurate answer, because the moment it has the data and you have given in a proper way, right? If you are using a proper language model, in this case it is GPT 3.5. If I change it to GPT 4, definitely even it will be better. We'll get a better response, definitely. And then also, right, that AI model, how do we basically, again, we can train, that is also another thing, but I'll come to that later in my later, basically other videos and all, when I'll come how we can build a model in Azure AI Studio and all of that as well. But this is how the main thing, right, how we can use LLM, and using retrieval augmented generation, we can basically give a better response or better accuracy for our business need, and leverage any of the AI model, right? So this is the going forward approach, and now it is maybe uh, people might have not started using it, all the organization, but once they will have confidence, right? And this vector store need not to be in public cloud or anything. It has to be within your system. And if you see, right, this vector store, where it is not in any cloud. This vector store is here only in my local system. So this knowledge base, whatever you are going to develop or whatever you are going to share, is not going outside of your organization. That is one of the best thing, right? Security reason also we need this. So this is how we can implement RAG and achieve lots of things, lots of use cases in our organization. Okay. Yeah, that's all for today's video. Maybe if you like this video, please do comment. And if you want to hear anything, any other topics on AI or anything, yeah, I know this was directly I jumped into this thing, but this is where I wanted to basically let you know that as a developer, in which direction we have to learn AI. It is not like just learning AI, learning few prompts is not going to help, right? So this is the direction that we need to learn so that we can implement AI in our application. And I started with Spring AI, but my subsequent videos will be step by step. What is basically Spring AI, how to set up, what is vector DB, then how we'll create only chart model, then how RAG, and then other things, right? Function calling, lots of things, other things are there. Okay. But yes, for today's video, I think this is what I wanted to cover, and thanks for watching the video.